Good morning, everyone. This is Anna and Olivia from MySteel Global, MySteel's English Market Intelligence Service. We are greeting you from Shanghai, China, and we'd like to share our experience attending the first ever SEAISI conference from last Tuesday to Thursday. It was a fresh and interesting experience with over 300 dial-ins and quite some sharing by speakers from different organizations, including ours. And COVID-19 was a word mentioned by all.
Yes, we all know that ASEAN is a major steel exporting destination for many countries, as it can be self-sufficient in steel consumption. And 2019 was not an exception. Last year, the region produced 45 million tons of steel, consumed 81 million tons, with 51 million tons being imported. Now let's cut to the chase and start the sharing of the major takeaways of the conference.
Well, Olivia, I've noticed that COVID-19 has been mentioned over and again by all speakers, and the pandemic has indeed affected every single country in the ASEAN region. And all the 6 ASEAN region countries have posted slowing economy in the first quarter of 2020, and 3 of them even posted negative growth. And all their major steel consuming sectors, including construction, automaking, and manufacturers, have felt the hurt. And construction accounts for over 70% of the region's total steel consumption. But now, 5 out of the 6 countries have posted negative growth in this sector.
Well, I noted the same, but the silver lining is that many speakers and panelists at the conference still look forward to a recovery from the pandemic, probably starting the second half of this year or next year. And most governments in the region have been injecting funds in the infrastructure construction sector to rescue their national economies. So V-shaped recoveries may be very likely. I still remember Mr. Yo, SEAISI Secretary General, commented that the ASEAN economies have been more resilient since the Asian financial crisis in 1998. So he believed the region may very well get out of the suffering soon enough. Yo estimated that the apparent steel consumption in the region may dip slightly to 79 million tons this year, but will recover soon to 83 million tons next year.
Yeah, but Olivia, have you noticed that despite the possible consumption declines, no speaker seemed to think that the regional steel capacity will decline accordingly? They still feel the dominant risk of steel overcapacity is very much relevant, and the region will be facing another 60 million tons per year steel capacity in the next few years if all the ongoing steel projects are commissioned as planned, and it will take 20 years for the consumption to catch up.
Well, I think the solution may be more steel exports. You know, the steel exports of the region has been on the rise. After all, although 40% are circulated within the region. Last year, the total steel exports of the region increased 60% on year to 15.5 million tons. Surprise or no surprise, its steel exports to China tripled in the first 4 months of this year to over 1 million tons. This probably thanks to the fact that China is the first country to climb out of the COVID-19 affection after being hit the first. But meanwhile, panelists pointed out at the conference that some ASEAN countries have been facing growing number of anti-dumping cases. This aroused heated discussion among the speakers on the topic of nationalization, regionalization, and globalization. It will be very interesting to see where this will go and what will be brought along in the post-pandemic era.
Well, time's almost up. This comes to the end of our sharing. And clearly, ASEAN 6 like elsewhere in the world, are still figuring out ways to recover from the pandemic. And just as the World Steel Association commented in early June, different from the last financial crisis, the virus has hit both the developing and the developed economies.
Hope all the affected countries will find ways to deal with it and live with it. And we wish all the people in ASEAN and the rest of the world great health and safety.